Hello everyone, it's Randy, your sewing machine man, and what we're looking at is a Kenmore Mini Ultra, and it's a lightweight little portable machine for a beginner or for somebody who does quilt retreats, a motorhome, lake lot, stuff like that. One you want to take with you. You leave it, go in home and take the little one with you, and this is a good little machine. It's been around for a while. It's got some nice features on it. And the fact that it's lightweight means, of course, it's a 385. It has a nylon drive gear. It doesn't have a metal drive gear. Everything's made on this one to be light. It's got plastic just about everywhere you can have plastic, because that's how you get lightness. The drive gear is nylon, so it's not plastic, but it has its limitations even more than metal naturally, because it'll break. But this is not a machine you're going to challenge by doing something heavy like denim. You're not going to sew canvas. You're not going to sew the crazy wacky stuff people sew on their machine to tear them up. This one is not going to be that machine. Garment, like I say, shirts and jammies and blouses and pillowcases. This one came in for service because it did not want to sew on this stuff. Buddy, this is as tough as it gets. When you get a single knit, anything that's jersey, swimsuit material, dance togs, that stuff is hard to sew on. It'll skip stitches like mad. And there's a few things you can do to, make it work a little bit better, or work when it won't work at all. There's a few things you can do that'll make it work, what I'm trying to say. So this little guy here came in, skipping stitches, not wanting to sew a lick on here, but the timing was off. Now, on this stuff, you can have the timing set right on the money, and sometimes you'll still get an occasional skip. This one's sewing real well. And I was very surprised that it was sewing so well with the zigzag foot, because the zigzag foot, causes the fabric to flutter up and down. The zigzag presser foot combined with the zigzag plate, and you can see it's making a respectable stitch here. Very nice, and it still has the stretchiness to it without breaking. It's balanced very well. So you're getting a nice stitch there. Make sure I got some light on this thing so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. It's got a nice stitch there. It's locking. Now this machine has pre-programmed stitches. You have a real tiny one, a medium, and a long one. And on the tiny one and the medium one, I got not a real good stitch. So I went to the long one, looked real good. And this machine, of course, has a 3-step zigzag. If you want a zigzag, a lot of times it'll skip on zigzag like crazy because the fabric flutters up and down in the needle plate opening. So you go to the 3-step zigzag. It goes 3 over and 3 back. So you're doing a straight stitch over, straight stitch back. So it's a straight stitch zigzag combo. So this one's turned out to make a real nice stitch. Now the way we get that is we get a needle called a Singer. Back in the day, this is an old pack called a Singer yellow band needle, but they haven't changed the style. They changed the packaging. But it's called a 2045. You can get an 11, you get into 14, but special design features for sewing lightweight knit and fabrics. And what it has at the eye of the needle, it has a big notch, and right above the eye has a lobe at the eye rather, and a big notch right above it, so it can catch that tiny little stitch. What you want to sew presser foot wise is a flat bottom. You want to have an absolute flat bottom, and that is opposed to having like the little tunnel underneath for doing applique and stuff like that in satin stitching. You see that little tunnel, that little impression there, little concave, that just adds to the fabric flutter and makes it even more difficult to sew. So you want to have a flat bottom on the zigzag, which is what we have on here with the flat bottoms. It holds the fabric flat down, and sometimes that doesn't work, and you have to go to a straight stitch foot, which this is a center needle position machine, so it's got to be a center needle position. Straight stitch foot has to hold the fabric still. Sometimes you need that, and sometimes your machine comes with a straight stitch single opening right there for just doing straight stitches. Sometimes you have to do that, and then sometimes you have to take that and combine it with this, depending on which machine it is. Some you have to have this plus the needle. This one, fortunately, makes a nice stitch with the 2045 needle and the flat bottom zigzag. If you take either one of those two out of the equation, you'll get skip stitches. So the presser foot's critical, the needle's critical, the needle plate can be critical or not. The thread, of course, has to be all-purpose dual duty, and very often on these, what you want to make sure you have is the timing set on the money. If the timing's not set perfectly, all the other stuff is superfluous. So this one got the timing set, right needle, right pressure foot, and sometimes you're going to have to go with the extra needle plate. Now, if you can't get a Singer licenses the same machine to a group called Schmetz. Excellent needle, Schmetz. SCHMETZ, and on the front of the pack it'll say Stretch, STRETCH. That's also the same needle as the Singer Yellow Band. This machine was made in the 70s because back then they had a thing called double knit and the machines would not sew on it. It was driving people crazy, so Singer developed that needle, the 2045, to cure that problem. So 2045 and a 14, make sure you got the right feet, and you can make these machines work. Sometimes your machines will have a left needle position. This one does not. You can click left, center, right. That'll solve it as well. It's like giving you that extra support on the left-hand side where the needle goes up and down. So if you don't have a left needle position machine, you're going to have that needle. 2045 by Singer or the Schmetz Stretch to solve the skipping stitches on jersey and nylon. Alrighty? Thanks.